Dude, as soon as I come into this party, there's a hunt. I hate that, dude. I really do. And then when I'm not in a party, there is no hunt or whatever. It's crazy to me and stuff. Oh well, it is what it is. I play on Zalora. Hey, what's up, 9 Miley? How you doing, man? Probably will start playing Diablo around 12 o'clock. Hey, what's up, Kobe? Hey, what's up, Zachary? How you doing, buddy? I don't know, man. Probably 3 hours from now, we can, Ninja. I could even just get to the point where I would just play Final Fantasy all day. I'm pretty sure I will play Diablo today. I'm like 90% sure, but I might have that 10% inkling where I just might just like play Final Fantasy all day. We'll see. But like I said, I mean, 12 o'clock here will be another 2 hours from now. But like I said, I may not be playing it. I might be playing it. I hate black mages. That is all. Well, I don't hate them, though. Oh, you know, I think I might have been on the wrong target. That could have been it, too. Could have been my fault. That's the only thing that really irks me in this game is DPS, because a lot of the times these guys go like really AWOL ape shit crazy, and they don't respect threat. Because Final Fantasy has had a long history of, you know, just in general, like the tanks can't. It's not like WoW where it's like you know tanks can hold aggro forever or whatever. They just go ape shit. Well, I know they're adding, what, 3 new classes, a different race, 10 more levels to go to, I guess, from 50 to 60. New areas, flying mounts, shit like that. I think the game is better than WoW overall. When I play WoW nowadays, I really kind of feel like they're just trying to, how do you say, just maximize their profit as opposed to, like, you know, making the players happy and making a likable experience. I'm not saying WoW shouldn't be able to make money. Just like Square Enix, I feel when I play their games, is like their first priority is making us happy, and then their second priority is making money and maximizing profits, which is acceptable. I think it's overall a better game than WoW. I think both of them are pretty solid MMORPGs. But, you know, I like it when a company appreciates their player base. As opposed to, I'm not saying they don't appreciate their player base in, like, WoW. But if I'm waiting almost a year for the next expansion, and then you're doing things like, you know, having a TV show about, you know, the OC choppers where they're debating on what, you know, motorcycle to put into the game, people kind of don't want to see that. If Final Fantasy had the budget to do that, to do a show about Final Fantasy with, like, celebrities, or to just basically put in the extra dungeon or more content, they would put in the extra dungeon and more content to make the player base happy. Now, was Blizzard wrong for doing that? Probably not necessarily. But I kind of just can see, you know, how they prioritize stuff. You know, like I said, I'm not against them making profits, but when you're that big, like, you know, Blizzard, it's not like they're hurting for money. I think they actually could make even more record-breaking profits. If they showed a little bit more respect towards the fans, because the fans and the people of that made that company what it is. And it just seems like instead of, like, respecting the fans, it's like, I don't even think maybe it's the developer's fault. I think it's the Activision part of Blizzard, where they're like, hey, let's release this new mount for $20 so we can get some good money in for Valentine's Day. I mean, they didn't do that in WoW, but that's kind of how it feels. Like, let's add you know, a way so people don't even have to level anymore. They can just basically boost to max level or 10 levels below. I mean, could you imagine in Final Fantasy 14 for people who play it, if they said, hey, you pay us $50, we'll let you go from level 1 to level 45, right? Like, instantly. And it's just kind of whack to me. I don't like things like that. I think that's what makes the player base worse. And in combination of now, it's like, could you imagine, like, if you could buy, like, I don't know, man. It's just weird. My whole point is this. Could you imagine if, like, you could, like, sell, like, subscription coins in the game and then people buy them with Gil, like how they did with the... It would just totally make the game fucked up. You know, so at the end of the day, if somebody asks me what game is better to play, of course I'm going to tell you the game that takes care of their player base first. I'm not saying that companies don't have a right to make their money, but in all honesty, let's think logically. Would you rather deal with a company that's more concerned with maximizing profits and customers second, or going to another company where they're focused on making the customer happy first, then maximizing profits? I think anybody would just say, well, obviously I would want the company, if they're providing, like, you know, the same product or, you know, whatever, I would want the one that takes me into account first. You know, that's just kind of how it is. It's just, you know, that makes the most logical sense. Of course I'm going to go with the company that's basically putting me first over their own profit margin. You know, it's not right or wrong if you do that. But, you know, of course people would rather choose a company that wants to focus on them a lot better. That's how I feel. Again, I hate black mages. Just thought I'd add that in there again. You know, like, yeah, I agree with you, man. Like, it just in general, like, I think World of Warcraft, if you play it as an MMORPG, I think it's a solid MMORPG. But if you ask me in the long term, which game is better to play in the long term, I'm going to tell you probably Final Fantasy overall. You know, just because they treat their customers a lot better. I'm not saying WoW's a bad game. I still think WoW has a lot of cool stuff in it. I think it has a lot of enjoyable moments. I think it's a good MMORPG to play in the long run, as long as you realize is that they're going to prioritize making money over the player first. And if you're okay with that and you love the Warcraft universe, hey, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that, right? You know, if you do care about how a company treats its customers and stuff like that, then I wouldn't recommend it too much. You know. Plus, I think I'm pretty confident I would never have to worry about microtransactions, like to the what World of Warcraft is, because there's microtransactions to get yourself leveled up, and there's microtransactions where you can now, you know, sell. You can basically buy buy gold. You buy your subscription coins, you put them on the auction house, people buy them, there you go, you make your money. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. Hey, what's up, missus? Yeah. But when that player develops and becomes a better player and goes towards the end game and sitting there looking, waiting for content, things like that, he might be like, well, fuck, this game is... Like I said, Diablo is great early on and for new players and they really enjoy it. But when you start getting to the point like where it's like, you know how to get to the end game and what you should be focusing on, there really isn't a lot of stuff to do other than just endless grinding. Oh, I haven't seen that. What have they done? Has the developers gotten that bad in response to like interacting with the community and shit? I didn't know about all that. Usually it seemed like the dev team never commented about. I don't know. The dev team is just a dev team, man. But like, when you're like the dev team on World of Warcraft, you know you got job security. You're not going nowhere for another 10 years. Yeah, it's just how it is. WoW's just not what it used to be. No, it flashed early. Premature flash. Nah, not honestly for me with Dungeon Keeper. Passed it on to a buddy. He's been playing it. He's been looking for like a lot of games he can play to enjoy himself. But for me personally, no, I've been doing a lot of Final Fantasy 14 and also shit. I even did get Path of Exile done the way I wanted to. Final Fantasy 14 and Diablo. I mentioned again, I hate black mages. I hate black mages. I hate them. I hate them with a passion. I fucking hate black mages. Oh no, I don't mind them in other games and shit, but it's like Final Fantasy 11, if black mages play like if black mages played from Final Fantasy 14 were to be put in Final Fantasy 11 and play the same way they do in Final Fantasy 14, they'd be dead. They'd be dead most of the time. We're looking for Zuni Masapatsu trying to riddle a task in Theo Friday 80 Fresh Beats. Yeah, but the biggest problem is like, before I got Shield Oath, a lot of people would blame me, like, oh, you're losing aggro, but like, all the tanks have problems with that shit, right? My whole point is, like, a lot of the DPS, like, a lot of the, like, they're really, I don't want to say retarded, I don't want to say they're stupid, but it's like, they lack a common understanding of the fact of just how tanks work. Like, if I'm a black mage, right, I'll count 5 seconds and I'll start with my DPS, right? Once the target gets down to HP, it gets down to half HP, then I start ramping up and going crazy. And towards the end, what I try to do, right, is get it to the point where I'm blasting with my hardest spells to finish off the mob. And you should be basically hitting your threat cap on a target right when the monster is about to die. So if the monster's about to aggro you, it's dead. And that's fine. But a lot of people don't understand or respect DPS shit, because it's just, they figure they just spam their skills and then they blame the tank. And it's like, a lot of, even in World of Warcraft that happens, and it's just disappointing. Because if you play like a lot of the old school MMORPGs, the DPS actually had to chill the fuck out sometimes, because they'd be like, oh, I'm limited on how much DPS I can do, because it's just, I'm limited by what the tanks can maintain in terms of threat. Even some of the top gear tanks could not deal with the threat that someone would generate. So a lot of people just pop off from party and they just start attacking, going apeshit. Like, you could actually wait for like 2 flashes and then go in and you're fine. But people don't even want to do that. Then they get aggro. Then they're like, oh, this tank can't hold aggro. He sucks. And then they're going like balls to the wall, like right as it goes. Like, if I do my shield pool, I have to wait till my flash comes off global cooldown before I can start my flashes and shit. That's why sometimes if it's a crazy DPS, I have to start in. I'd rather sprint in and start flashing, because then it's like I don't have to worry about it. There's a big problem with DPS. Like, that's one of the big problems. And then also in battle mechanics, where like in certain fight mechanics, where the tank is just supposed to sit there, hold the boss, and just, you know, they're supposed to spread out their like little damage mitigation stuff to make it easier on the healer, right? You got healers, or I'm sorry, you got DPS that get so focused on doing DPS, they forget to see the ad that comes out. They They don't know how to move away from certain effects. Huh. We're about to get them down to 80%. This is going to be the phase where the, you know, the ads come up. Let me just save my bursty, you know, abilities and stuff for when the ad comes out. Ads coming out in about 3 seconds. Okay, pop all my trinkets. There's the ad. Boom, put damage on the ad immediately. Burn it down. Cool. You know, maybe they time it where they wait a couple seconds for the off tank to pick up shit. If you ask most, like, DPS to do that, they don't understand that concept. They don't know what's up. But they'll be quick to blame the tank when shit goes down. They'll be quick to blame the healer and just stupid shit, you know? It's kind of like with healer. I know I shouldn't cast any heal spells until, like, the tank starts taking some damage, wait a little bit, and then when I cast my first heal spell, you know, bam. But, like, if I'm casting a heal over time spell immediately when combat starts on the tank and then complain about aggro, well, you shouldn't do that. You know, you wait, you cast your first heal. After you cast your first heal, then, you know, that's fine. That was bad. If you cast your first heal, it should be after the take some initial damage, and that's fine. You know, then you can put on the hot and everything like that, you know. But I think maybe a lot of people played World of Warcraft maybe and came into Final Fantasy, because in World of Warcraft, like, a tank can hold aggro straight up. There's no difficulty in it. Like, the nice thing about Final Fantasy, it actually respects the fact that you actually have to respect threat. You have to respect your aggro. Because, like, let me tell you, when you're tanking World of Warcraft, you don't feel like it's any kind of accomplishment, because once you do your first ability, all the monsters are auto-sticking on you, because threat is not really an issue in World of Warcraft.